I'm humbled to have so many people here this evening to just watch this little ceremony of the special award. Peter, thank you for the remarks. I'm delighted to be here. And what about me? Well, I'm hoping with my partner to expand our operations and build more startup companies in this area. And I'm very good at that. I started up my first company in 1972 with only $4,000. Some of you will notice that with $4,000, it doesn't pay a lot of salaries. You can't pay much for $4,000. And how do you buy things and how do you rent space for $4,000? But you see, the truth is there's a few words that matter, not just the money. Persistence. Persistence is the single most important word to success. I had graduates and undergraduates work with me for nothing. And after 6 months, a little bit more than that actually, but 7 months, working around the clock 7 days a week, the first product came out, and I still had a little money left over from the $4,000. And that created Mytel, which grew to be a terrific company for the next 10 years, doubling each year in sales, and then finally taking the company public. And each $1 share in 1973 converted to $2.5 million. Not a bad investment, really, after 10 years. But it shows you that, with persistence and getting things optimum, how quickly things can change. And I know some of you will be a little bit depressed by downtown Newport. It doesn't look that good to see all those shops boarded up and various things that don't look very good for Newport. But here we have a new foundation stone, a city campus, a new university campus. How things can change very quickly sometimes. But I want you to remember, persistence is the single most important word to success. I remember back in the early 80s that I bought the Celtic Manor, the Lydia Bainard. It was abandoned, and I noticed it as I drove by, all the windows boarded up, and I turned around. I was born there. And I talked to the caretaker. He said, "Show me around." "Well, I'm not supposed to do that," he said. And I said, "Well, in life, there's many things you're not supposed to do. Show me around." "Well, all right, I'll show you around." I came to the auction. Bang, bang, bang. I bought it for £270,000. Why did I buy it? Is because it was somewhere I was born? It actually wasn't that. I'm a commercial person. I'm a business person. I'm a capitalist. And I don't mind telling you about that. And looking down on the motorway, 10,000 cars an hour? Good God, and what terrific visibility. And then what happened? 30 years later, the Ryder Cup came to Newport. You see persistence, continuously building on something. Nothing's ever finished for me. It's a continuous development. I love business. That's my passion. That's what I enjoy. I have fun building businesses. In my career, I've built 90 technology companies from scratch, mostly with new graduates. And I leave you with a few thoughts. Persistence, important to know that, but we'd better believe in the new graduates. If the new graduates don't become the next generation of business people, we actually don't have a future. We'd better mentor them and work with these new graduates and make them world class, help them to become world class. You have to let them do their own thing, but guiding and mentoring is almost like continuing education. And my partner and I, Simon, that's what we do. And he'll tell you a little bit about our foundation called Alacrity. Alacrity, what does that mean? It means fast, speed. Get on with it. Get on with it. That's what we do. We are on business. And out of 90-odd companies, I've only lost a few. And that's because sometimes the standards change. So there's no option in technology. If the standards change, you have to adopt the standards. And you may have put tons and tons of work into something that ended up not being a standard. But that's very rare for me, because I work very hard at optimizing things persistently, and because it's my passion, I have fun doing it. And what about the Celtic Manor? I can remember that, unfortunately, golf courses I had designed with Robert Trent Jones, probably the best golf course architect ever on the planet, brought up in Aberystwyth and moved to the US when he was very little with his parents to New Jersey. In his career, he built 400 golf courses And I befriended him, so he designed a course. It was turned down. Planning turned that down. But then how come there's 3 golf courses today? See, people change with time, and you make another application. See, persistence, stay at it. 3 golf courses, 2010 the Ryder Cup. They gave me a 1% chance of hosting the Ryder Cup, but we pulled it off. Now it's true, both the Assembly government and Newport working with me to pull that off. Over 1 billion people turned out to watch that on television. Over 1 billion people in the Usk Valley looking at the pictures of this beautiful area. And what else came out of that? Thank you, Lord. It rained on Friday afternoon. Now, the number of people that wrote to me, Terry, really sorry that it rained, it's spoiling the event. That's only one point of view. There's a flip side to that coin. Other people wrote to me and said, this is terrific. I'm having so much FaceTime with our most important customers. You see, there were 15,500 sponsors with their largest clients coming through the gates. 15,000 plus of the biggest customers in the world for some of these sponsors. I had 3 hours over breakfast with the CEO of AT&T, one of the biggest companies in the world. I had a couple of hours over lunch with many people during that event who are the most senior. They loved the event. You see, the truth is, that Friday afternoon when it rained, there was no golf playing. Terrific. That meant people had FaceTime in those hospitality pavilions. On the 16th, 17th, and 18th fairways, huge amount of hospitality. The biggest that has ever been held in the Ryder Cup's history since 1926. The rain helped a lot. More business done in those hospitality suites than you could ever believe. And then what happened? They couldn't fit the game into 3 days. They made it 4 days. Now, I would count that in business terms as a 33% increase in TV, magazines, radio, newspapers, a 33% increase. The sponsors loved it. They paid for 3 days and got 4. They applauded me. I had so many people. Terry, what a great event. And then finally on the Monday morning, whoop, absolute beautiful skies. And it was funny because there was a little mist in the River Usk. And the joke was, well, that's not any mist from the river. That's Miguel Jimenez with his cigars. But the fact of the matter is, it was a terrific event. 1% chance they gave me of hosting that. But we pulled it off. And on that last day, with a terrific sky, you can't really plan it. But Europe won with only half a point, with only one more hole to go, and the whole world saw it. Now, I travel around the planet on business. I guess I'm very lucky, really, because my business carries me all over the world. South America, Asia, China, Singapore, Delhi, Beijing, Shanghai. I mean, my business is all over the world. Wherever I go, even if they don't speak English, take China. They never learned English properly. They speak Mandarin. Many of them do speak English. But, you know, here's somebody that says to me, the CEO of China Telecom says, Terry, that was a great event you had in Newport with the Ryder Cup. You see, the truth is, 1 billion people on the planet watched that event. They saw the Newport area. They saw the Usk Valley. They see Prince Charles visiting. We had so many senior visitors, you just cannot believe the number. Helicopters came in and out like a yo-yo all of the time. Not just from the United States, but from South America. Some of the richest people in the world came here. And here's the good thing. They had a great time. They enjoyed the event. And the best part, perhaps, is the number of visitors that saw it. Better than that is the number of viewers that saw it. I still get letters coming to the Celtic Manor saying, give us advice as to what best golf courses we should play in the area. We're coming in July, coming in August with our family. Clunk, clunk, clunk. This will go on for a long, long time. But the important thing is not to treat it as an event which is now over. Treat it as a platform from which we grow. We now have visibility. We can grow from that platform. We can make something out of it. It's just an opener. It's like this campus. It's an opener. Now, I love the words today. What words did I hear? It's an arts college, but it's business. Business and arts mixed. You see, the world ought to be made up of new graduates coming along where business is in the brain, not just some course that they took. Business in the brain. It starts with sales. And you know what? One of the things we don't do in any of the universities is teach people how to sell. Here we are beginning it by saying business is part of the course. I love that. Entrepreneurship is part of what we ought to do for all of the new grads. And innovation is the key word to sell around the planet. We will never again be able to compete with the $700 a year that they pay on average in China and the $900 a year that they pay in India. The salaries are very low, and on top of that, the populations are very large, and there's no barriers to trade. So how do you survive in such an environment? And I'm sure many of you must read such things and say, well, what future do we have? In the same time frame that India and China have come onto the world market, selling things around the planet at ridiculously low prices, then how come Google in 10 years has grown from 2 new graduates in a garage to the size of Microsoft? How can such a thing happen? Very high salaries in Silicon Valley. First mover advantage. Innovation. Innovation is the key part. Motivation. Understanding business. These are the things that allow you to make a company and sell around the planet. And that's what Simon and I do. And I think, Simon, you're going to talk a little bit about that. About our Alacrity Foundation. How does he do it? How can he take a company from new graduates? They don't know how to sell. In fact, most of them, we're talking about kids, 21, 22 years old. They've never had to stand up and present a company and have people understand what the company's about. They never had to push and get somebody interested in a product. We typically don't teach them how to do that. But I'll tell you something that we found. In all of the companies we've started up, these new grads, you choose the ones that really want to be entrepreneurial. Within a year, they become battle-hardened. They can take anyone on at any level. They are really good. We need to believe in our new graduates. We need to all be part and parcel of mentoring and bring them on to start up new companies. Be entrepreneurs, start up new companies, and fight for business around the world. And we will win very quickly, the likes of which you've never seen for this area. We can do it. I'm delighted to be at this new university, Peter. Thank you very much for this honor.